2023 Nissan Qashqai Ti review. The Nissan Qashqai Ti is the flagship of the local range, and like all Qashqai models it's extremely family-friendly despite its size. If you want a small SUV that is big on the inside but compact on the outside, I'm not sure there is any better option than the Nissan Qashqai. The new generation model is smarter than the last, and packages a lot into a small footprint. And, being a dad, I wanted to see how it would cope with family duties. So this review is more about the usability of the Qashqai than anything else. Can it work for a family of 3? Is it easy to park? What tricks has it got up its sleeve that make it a better option than many of its rivals? Like I said, this is the plush spec of Qashqai, and it lives up to that on the inside. The quilted leather trim is definitely on the edge of opulent, and the fact the front seats have a massage function just means that stressed-out parents like me will have a bit of relaxation on the road. I'm not sold on the blue and black interior color finish, but you might be. With heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, which is a lovely shape, it'll be a nice experience for the front seat riders for winter morning daycare drops, that's for sure. And, I like that the trim inside looks and feels great through the cabin, including a nice soft padded dash top, soft armrests, and comfortable seats. The massive 12.3-inch media screen is very crisp and clear, plus it's fast to respond to touch commands and acts as the display for a fantastic reversing camera with 360-degree view as well. Family points to Nissan for also making rear EB standard for the Qashqai. It's a potentially life-saving bit of technology that will appeal to countless mums and dads out there. And further to that, the Qashqai Ti gets a semi-autonomous parking system, but it's not nearly as semi-autonomous as some others. In fact, it only does the steering. You still need to control the brakes, accelerator, and gear selection. At least it displays a great crisp image on screen to see where you want to get to. The media system also features buttons for fast, succinct control of the key functions of the car: fan, climate, volume, tuning and more. Unlike the STL, the T-Score is a big fully digital instrument display, which is a bit more techy than the more conventional dial layout in the lower grades. It also scores a head-up display for the info you need at a glance through the windscreen. For people who really value heaps of in-car storage, the Qashqai could be better. It has cup holders between the front seats, a center console bin with USB ports and a wireless charger. Interestingly, this Qashqai didn't have the ill-fitting glove box issue that the STL I drove did. Right, so I said there would be some family highlights here, and one of them is that the back doors of the Qashqai open to 90 degrees. That means you can easily load your child, or their seat, into the back row without having to squeeze yourself into a tight space. It has outboard ISOFIX and 3 top tether points to secure seats, and the job is made pretty easy because of those wide opening doors. If you've read much about other new cars, you'll know that one of the biggest faults with Toyota designs is that their doors don't open very wide. That means you might need to swing by the personal trainer after you do the daycare drop, as it can be, literally, a bit of a squeeze to get your child in the back if you're a larger human. Now, I'm 182 centimeters /6'0", and not as skinny as I once was, thanks, Dad bod, but the Qashqai's doors meant I could easily put my daughter, 20 months, into her forward-facing child seat without needing to breathe in to make sure I fit. And if you're interested in a Qashqai but don't have kids, or have really big kids, you might be impressed to learn that my big frame had heaps of room in front of my knees, above my toes, over my head, and there was even decent shoulder width as well. Amenities include mat pockets, X2, a flip-down armrest with a bit shallow cup holders, door pockets for bottles, directional air vents, USB-A and USB-C ports for device charging. A final point on those doors for parents: if you have a child at the age of I can get myself in and out of the car, be aware they do swing to 90 degrees, and there's a lot of parking spaces that won't allow that to happen without another car's door being dinged. Now, what about the boot? It's important for a family guy like me, insert Peter Griffin laugh here, and it is an impressive cargo hold. Nissan states there is 418 liters of boot volume, and unlike the other models in the range, this version has the divide and hide cargo floor system, which is two false floorboards that allow you to divide the space or hide stuff below them. They are clever if you need a flat space, nappy change table, and flippable as well. One side is carpet, and the other side is plastic, which is wipe down friendly, or hosable, depending on the extent of the nappy damage. With those flat sections removed, though, the boot shape is a bit weird. It has a raised boxy section below the backs of the seats, but if you're a parent, you'll find something to fit in there. You have, after all, completed your masters in boot Tetris. You can see in the pictures that I managed to fit my child's pram in with ease, and there was a fair bit of room left over with or without the false floor in play. It is a pretty practical little car and, unlike some rivals, you get a space-saver spare wheel under the boot floor too. What's under the bonnet? The T is currently available with a 1.3-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, with 110 kilowatts of power, 5,500 revolutions per minute, and 250 Newton-meters of torque, 1,600 to 3,750 revolutions per minute. That's plenty of poke, as much as a VW Tiguan Allspace 7-seater base model. In fact, it has a continuously variable transmission, CVT, automatic, and is front-wheel drive only. Nissan will launch another powertrain for the T grade, and maybe others, by the end of 2023, too. The e-Power is a form of petrol-electric hybrid, but unlike a Toyota or any other one on the market, it uses a 1.5-liter turbo petrol 3-cylinder engine to act as a generator, feeding the battery pack and helping to send power to the electric motor at the front axle via an inverter. How does the Nissan Qashqai Ti drive? The Qashqai Ti, unsurprisingly, drives very similarly to the STL grade I reviewed recently. It is a competent and mostly comfortable little car, and I reckon it would suit those who live in the suburbs or the city just as well as it will those who live in regional areas or the country. That little 1.3-liter turbo petrol engine is a pretty eager thing, with easily enough power and torque for this application, even if it does have a CVT automatic. I think the transmission is pretty well suited to the job, apart from the fact that it can be a little slow to react at speeds, when you're parking or doing a multi-point turn in a tight street, for instance. But you will acclimatize to it, and it's certainly not as offensive as some other types of transmission in other small SUVs out there. While the ride of the STL I drove was impressive to me, this drive in the T was a bit more focused on the urban grind around the pockmarked streets of inner Sydney, and I can see why some of my colleagues have labeled the Qashqai's ride as being a bit fidgety. I don't think the ride is bad, not even close, but there is some pitter-patter at the rear axle at times, and you will feel sharp edges when you hit them, thanks to the 19-inch wheels and relatively low-profile tires. Further, the steering was suited to this type of driving as well as my more regular open road and highway testing. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.